John Clendenning has built, bought, and sold a number of successful local businesses over the past 20 years. With an in-depth understanding of online marketing and reputation marketing, John is the founder of Screaming Tree Media, which specializes in consulting with companies to create online marketing strategies that build five-star reputations, as well as help those companies leverage their reputation to convert more customers. John, if you're ready, I'll hand it on over to you.
Hey, thanks, Alex. I appreciate it. How's it going, everybody? I'm glad you could make it out today. And yeah, we're going to have a lively session. Definitely put your questions into the question box and we'll answer them at the end, and we'll kind of walk you through marketing your authority in the recommendation economy and how to position yourself as the market leader to attract more clients and grow your business. So if that sounds good, well, let's get started. So got a question. Who's confused by the following? Online marketing, offline marketing, PPC, SEO, organic rankings, maps rankings, conversion rates, bounce rates, any stats that any Yellow Page rep, if you still see those people popping around, or advertising reps show you about their publications and their sources and all the leads they say they have. Any of those constant Google updates and changes, and maybe you're confused by where your customers are actually hiding, or why you get sometimes 5 to 10 calls a week. Sometimes it seems like 5 to 10 calls a day telling you that your online records are not showing up and your Google listing is out of date and things like that. If you're confused by any of those things at all, just put one in the chat box right now, because what we've noticed is that seems to has become more of an issue, that business owners are just confused by all of the new technology and all of the new marketing platforms and what's happened, when ultimately what they really care about is this: where are all my customers? And that's what you need to be concerned about. So today what we're going to talk about, and if you guys want to learn how you can market your business in a way that will provide you with a steady, consistent, and predictable stream of ideal leads every single day. How to make your business literally competition proof, and how to attract the best customers in your marketplace and have them begging to work with you. So if that sounds good, as a bonus, if you stick around to the end, we'll also give you a free action guide. It's an implementation guide, actually, what we call it, so you can implement the strategies and the stuff that we talk about today, and other marketing resources as well. So that's what we're going to cover. And just a really quick bio. Alex gave us, let you know a little bit about me, but yeah, I've been a small business owner 28 years now and owned those different businesses and bought and sold them. I've lectured and spoken to associations and marketing workshops, Chamber of Commerce on a regular basis. Was even flown to the island of Samoa to do a 3-day elite retreat with a private group of business owners that I presented to, and do a lot of keynote speaking, stuff like that. Ultimately, my ultimate goal is to help local businesses reach their growth potential, dominate their markets by implementing tested and proven marketing systems. So it's not just a bit of fluff or new ideas. It's actually time-tested marketing principles that have been around forever. They're fundamentals. Fundamentals don't change. It's just where you apply them and how they work. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Now, when I talk about the recommendation economy, a lot of people kind of go, I don't really know what that is. So, and the other point is, why should you even care about it? So what is this thing called the recommendation economy, and why should you care? So let's kind of take a step back in history a little bit to kind of see how we got here and where it came from. So as humans, we lived in very small villages for most of the existence of humankind. We had a very strong recommendation economy. Your reputation was everything. So if you needed a blacksmith and you had John the blacksmith and Stan the blacksmith, and everybody went to John the blacksmith because he did a great job, and Stan the blacksmith just didn't do that good of a job and wasn't recommended that well, he didn't have a very good reputation, and pretty soon he'd probably end up being a goat farmer or something else like that. He couldn't stay in business as a blacksmith. That was the recommendation economy working in the way that it's meant to. Then we switched into large cities, and that's not that long ago. Within the last couple hundred years, we moved into large cities. We became completely disconnected from this hyper-local reputation economy, and we're just kind of fend for ourselves. We found the vendors that could do the services for us. We would try a dentist, we may try another dentist, we may, you know, ask friends and stuff like that. But there was not this hyper local reputation economy. Then social media showed up. And that was a game changer, because with social media, we have the ability to get back to sharing and helping with, you know, guide our friends and peers and stuff like that. And we can share our input on the services and products that we've purchased. And it's other people will read those, take a look at those, and it becomes sort of an easy way to get back into the reputation economy. And it's a big shift that happened to cause that. What's happened now is it doesn't just stop there. Social media and social networks have spawned an ever-growing recommendation economy. So what we mean by that is it's not just the fact that we can go on and, you know, go on to Amazon and see how many people liked a product they bought, or go on to, you know, TripAdvisor and see how many people enjoyed a resort over another one, or a restaurant and things like that, or go on to Google and see, you know, which roofer is the best roofer, which mechanic's the best mechanic, which dentist, you know, that kind of thing. Now we're actually finding that people are so inundated with and so involved in their social media that this new paradigm of ask then buy has shown up. So what we do is we go on to these platforms from, you know, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat and all of those platforms, and we ask the crowd, we ask our friends, we ask in a buy and sell group, or, you know, whatever, hey, does anybody know of a good place to get my brakes fixed? And then all of a sudden you get with a bunch of recommendations, and that's become a new normal for us. So I like to tell you that it's no longer voluntary. You are actually a participant in this new recommendation economy, whether you signed up or not. There are conversations going on about your brand and your subject matter and the products and services and the problems you solve, the products and services that you sell and give to the marketplace, whether you're involved in those conversations or not. So what I'm going to suggest is that you should be not only involved in those conversations, but you should be the market leader in those conversations. So think about this. What do you think it would mean for your business if you were seen by your potential customers and clients as the obvious market leader and authority in your category? If that was your local positioning, do you think you might be able to attract more business away from some of your competitors? If you're seen as the market leader and the authority, would it be easier to close a sale? Could you say something to the effect of, hey, don't take my word for it, just look us up online, see what other people think? Is that easier to close a sale? Do you think you might be able to attract the best customers, clients, or patients, and even be able to charge more with that sort of positioning? Do you think people that are the market leader and the authority actually have higher prices and a little bit more of exclusivity around them, higher profits? So if you agree that those things are sort of an end result of this, then getting there becomes really, really important to the sustainability of your business. And that's why I say that you can end up with more predictable clients flowing in every single day when you do this. But here's the problem. The problem is consumer trust is at an all-time low. We don't trust what we see on a company's website. We don't trust marketing material. We don't trust a lot of things. And at the same time, consumer confidence is very high right now. So there's lots of money being spent in the marketplace, but the average person doesn't trust their old channels of how they came across. They don't trust your marketing, basically. So ultimately, what you need to realize is your authority in the marketplace plus your 5-star reputation now equals your consumer or customer trust, potential customer trust. So with no trust, you don't get a sale. So somebody is looking for the services and products you provide. They haven't contacted you yet. They've gone out to the masses. They crowdsource their information and their trust. And if there is no trust imparted in the messaging, if no trust imparted by third party, by your peers, you didn't even get the sale and you didn't even know it. You didn't even get the phone call. You didn't get the walk-in or anything. So your job as a business owner in today's recommendation economy is to build that trust to get more sales. It solidifies your business. And again, you're attracting the very best clients, not just the ones that have knee-jerk reactions to marketing. And ultimately, you need to accelerate that speed of trust. On its own, you can be a great business and quietly nobody knows. Your own clients know, but they don't really tell anybody. They don't really do anything about it. And it hasn't become part of this public social paradigm. So you need to accelerate your speed of trust. Now, there are 5 common roadblocks to growing your business in the recommendation economy. First one that a lot of businesses run into is how to effectively and consistently identify issues your customers may be having when they engage with your business. How do you do that? How do you get to know the pulse of your every single customer that's walked through the door and how they feel about your business, your staff, your everything about it? How do you identify the 20% of your customers who will actually be your brand ambassadors? This kind of goes back to that 80-20 rule, but about 20% of your clientele are actually the ones that are willing to be hyper responsive and endorse you and preach from the hilltops all about you. But how can you identify them to deal with them, or to be able to get them to do that even more? How can you consistently get most of your customers to endorse and recommend you? So not just the odd one, but most of your customers to provide endorsements and recommendations. Another roadblock is how to identify and respond in real time to those online brand mentions that are either helping or hurting your business. You've got to respond to both, the positive and the negative, wherever they are. And how do you identify them and respond to them in real time so they don't sit stagnant out there in the marketplace? And how can you easily add customer recommendations and endorsements into all of your brand messaging? Because again, we trust what other people say more than we trust what a company will say about itself. So what we call that here at Screaming Tree Media is trust engineering, because you do definitely need a strategic and systematic plan, not just kind of a hope and a prayer, to actually be seen as the authority and the market leader in your local industry. And there's a very, very strategic and fairly simple process to do that we'll kind of walk you through here, just so you have a really good understanding of how this all gets put together. Ultimately, there are 3 rules to engineering trust fast in the recommendation economy. So if you're taking notes, this is where you're going to start kind of writing stuff down, because you're going to need to know how to kind of put this in place. And these are some of the steps I'm going to walk you through on how to do this. So rule number 1 is you need to have a system to request feedback from every client. Not just the ones that are happy, not just the ones that had a problem, but you need to have a system to request feedback from every client. The good point about this is Aberdeen Research Group is one of many groups that kind of researches consumerism, consumer confidence, businesses, and all of that kind of stuff. And one of the big surveys they do is the Voice of the Consumer survey. And what they have found is that 55% of, if you actually survey your clients and get feedback in the right way, in a very systematic way, you can actually enjoy a 55% greater customer retention rate. So what that means is that people that are actually asked, hey, how did we do? In a correct way. I don't mean like, the bottom of an invoice, circle it, say, hey, there's a $1,000 shopping spree on the line, go fill this survey out. I mean, in a very authentic, natural way, you'll actually find that your customers, you get more brand equity in their brain. You actually, they see you in a more positive light, and research has shown 55% greater customer retention. You can have a 23% decrease in year-over-year customer service costs. So if you're finding out that there's a customer service lapse really, really early in the chain, you can solve that before it becomes a large problem that's costs you a lot more money. And when you solve it quickly, people are a lot happier, your customers are a lot happier that you solved it and stood up to, mistakes happen, things can happen. You jump in and solve it, and it's going to decrease the actual cost of customer service in your business as well. You can actually get this stat was pretty alarming, but a 292% across the board greater employee engagement rates. If you're asking all of your customers, clients, and patients exactly what what they thought of their experience and the staff and all that, and these people are giving you feedback on how great Jenny was at the front counter and how great Thomas was as a service technician and all of those kinds of things, and you're sharing those with your staff, you're going to get better greater employee engagement, you're going to get longer staff retention. All of those stats bear out that you're sharing why they're coming to work for you today. Also, you get a 14.5% increase in overall customer satisfaction with the business, but this is the big one here. 28.3% increase in annual company revenue has been seen across the board for companies that ask for feedback in the correct way. And the little statement over here by the Aberdeen Group is really important, is the truth is the customer experience lives entirely in the minds of your customers. So is not what you think it is, it's what they experience it to be. So you need to kind of ferret that out of them and figure out what that is. And there's an approach to do that. So the other thing about feedback is you actually get to identify your A-list cheerleader clients. And those are the clients that are 5 times more responsive. So you can market your very best offers to them. You can ask and get more referrals from these ones. You can also get their input on new products and new services. They love you more. You can invite them to events and they'll actually attend and bring friends. That's that 80-20 rule. These are the brand ambassadors and the cheerleaders. And knowing who they are comes from actually getting feedback from all of your clients and then determining from that which ones are the actual the brand ambassadors. So Net Promoter Score, NPS talks about, basically if somebody on a scale of 1 to 10 is a 9 or a 10, they're your most engaged active clients, and you can almost disregard the rest. And it's sort of that rule. We see it's about a 20% that you're going to get that are the most engaged, and those are the ones you want to talk to. The other point as well is you can actually immediately hear from and can respond to anyone who had a less than perfect experience. So you have an opportunity to recover that client as well. You can avoid the cost of a negative review online, and that's become really important in today's day and age. You get one bad review in the wrong spot, sitting at the top of Yelp, sitting at the top of Google, on your Facebook page, a rant that goes out on ripoff reports. Somebody types in your brand name and boom, there's something negative. And you've got that there. The number of people that are turned off and turned away from your business, it can be huge, but you won't even know it because they didn't even call you. You literally just lost all that momentum, and it's because you didn't have a system in place to sort of catch that problem early, know what it is, and respond to it. And the interesting point is when you do that, you're also finding out that your most loyal clients can actually be the ones that had a bit of an issue. You solved that issue, and had a recovery process in place. You went over and above their expectations because you found out about it and you're willing to kind of jump on top of it in a big way. And by doing so, you've actually created a customer that's even happier that they found you and used you than just having a negative experience, going away and never hearing from you again and telling everybody else to avoid you. So there's a lot of benefit to that as well. One of the other things is you simply can't do any of this by hounding for reviews. So it's a little term that we use around the office here called review hounds. We've been doing reputation-based marketing for 5 or 6 years now. We saw the shift in the service businesses that we own. We saw this in the ones that we work with, and we realized that reviews and reputation and all that have become a game changer. And in that last 5 years, we've seen it gone from a small group of people that help teach you how to get reviews and stuff like that to just about every app on the planet, every system on the planet, every credit card processing has a plug-in or a tool to say, hey, let's go get reviews. Let's go get reviews. Let's ask everybody for reviews. We call that hounding for reviews. We couldn't imagine a service technician standing in front of a customer saying, hey, were you happy today? Were you happy today? Can you give us a review? Here's the link. Go give us a review. Unfortunately, most customers feel threatened by that. The ones that were unhappy may not tell you, may not like the person who asked them for the review, and it's it's an uncomfortable situation. When you're gently asking for feedback, a survey, you've got all of those benefits of having them really give their input, sending it directly to management, and then you can ask them, follow up and say, hey, thanks so much, really appreciate it. Do you mind going online and posting your comments on one of these review sites if you're okay with that? And we'll kind of show you how to do that as well. But the feedback becomes the most important part of the equation here. And basically, as just an aside to that, just as a byproduct of doing it in an authentic way, you just end up with a ton more natural, authentic online reviews. So, and it's not just Google reviews. We're talking reviews around the web where people look. So, and why is that important? Well, and why is any of this important? Well, the fact is that, online marketing has changed in the last few years, and it's only in the last few years, to give the 5-star local companies the advantage over everybody else. And every statistic proves that more and more people will actually just simply target the 5-star companies and be the ones that they call first. In fact, even in the auto industry, it used to be that people would go around on average 4 to 5 different car lots and look at cars and stuff like that. And now it's down to one. The last stat I heard was 1.2 car lots people actually attend. So basically they're only going to show up at one, but they target as many as 13, 14 car lots online. And it doesn't mean that they're going to go, if they want to buy a Toyota, they don't go to the Toyota dealership in town, or they want to buy a Ford, they don't go to the Ford dealership town. They will go out of market and go to one town over because they found that dealership had a better recommendation, had better reviews, and all of that. And we're just the one, they asked around and people said, no, I would actually, go to Crosby Ford instead of, the one in town because they're way better to deal with. And that's become part of our processes, our economy as well. Part of it that's kind of startling if you think of it this way is, so the 18 to 34-year-old crowd, so the up-and-coming consumers, 97% of those consumers actually read online reviews to judge a local business. And that was a stat done in 2015 by a consumer review survey. Overall, 92% of all consumers who are online read reviews on businesses before making a decision. So we're talking statistically, nearly everybody is looking up reviews and looking up your reputation before they're making a buying decision. And when asked in these crowds, who would you call first? We hear a lot of people talking about, needing to have, a low price in the marketplace, or they need to be ranking #1. They need to be at the top of Google. They need to be, showing up there. In fact, consumers say that 55% of them said that they would actually, they would call first the business that has the 5-star reviews and the great reputation over the business that's marketing the cheaper price and over the business that's coming up first. And in fact, the crowd of, being first in Google, being first, everywhere is kind of diminishing in a way. Part of that has to do with the changes in organic rankings and the way Google shows one consumer a different set of results than the next consumer sitting right beside them. You could be sitting beside each other on your phone, on your tablet, on your laptop, and type in, dentist nearby or whatever. And the results can be vastly different based on your own personal interactions and experiences and browsing patterns and stuff like that. But people are actually going past those and looking for the ones with the 5-star reputation. And it doesn't, because we're in this recommendation economy, it doesn't just impact online as well. All your traditional marketing is impacted by that. In fact, a funny little story, my father-in-law, he's approaching his 70s now, and when we go over there for holidays and Thanksgiving and all that kind of stuff, he sits in his big chair and he's got his iPad in his lap and he's surfing away looking for, you mention a product, you mention something, and he's pulling up information on it and all that kind of stuff. This is kind of a cross-generational thing now. So he sees something on TV, your customers see something on TV in a magazine about you. What are they going to do? They're going to go online and research you. And what are they going to see? They're going to see what other people are saying about you. And they're not necessarily going to your website either. They're searching, they're crowdsourcing more information and your trust. They hear something on the radio or in the newspaper, direct mail. You do all of this marketing and send out all this direct mail, and it's being impacted by what your online reputation looks like. SEO marketing is massively impacted by that. Reviews can drive up your rankings. Engagement can drive up your rankings in the Maps pack and things like that. There's lots and lots of the algorithms around that actually use how you're seen by the public as how you're positioned as well. Social media, obviously, people, again, that ask then buy. People are all over social media, and they'll open a separate tab. If somebody says, oh, I suggest you go to this location. Oh, I suggest you go to this business. Well, they just open up a separate tab in their browser and type the names in, and that becomes what we call your reputation profile. When somebody types your business name in plus the word reviews or complaints, the #1 search for your brand will include the word review or complaint beside it in most marketplaces, and that becomes your reputation profile in that search engine. What shows up on that page, and how can you control? It's organic, you can't buy into it, but how can you control what shows up in there by sending the right signals? And website marketing. When they land on your website, you definitely want them to see authentic client interactions and not just kind of those 3 reviews that scroll through that widget halfway down the page near the bottom, and it's just people 3 standard comments. They obviously know that you're going to be promoting only the ones that your best comments, and the same ones will be there a year and 2 years from now. Ideally, you want to actually have streaming reviews from around the web that they can click on and go over to the Yelp and the Facebook and the Google and actually see those legitimate reviews there, good, bad, and ugly. Because we all look for the no different than slowing down to look at the accent. We all look for the negative reviews and read them and see how it impacts the positive reviews and our overall impression as well. So rule #1, to recap, definitely make sure you're getting feedback from every single client every single time. Rule number 2, you want to dominate your online marketing by marketing your reputation as your local brand. So you can market all your great stories and why you're the best, but if you're marketing your reputation as your local brand, you're going to have a lot more authority, and you're going to get a lot better clientele. So you want to do that on the websites, like I just mentioned. You want to market your reputation on social media and all of those platforms. You want to market your reputation on all of the image sharing sites as well. People, Pinterest, the demographic of Pinterest is, college or university educated, over 80% women, average household income around $100,000 for the people that are on Pinterest, as opposed to, so for example, Twitter, where it's a much younger crowd and a much lower income crowd. So whoever you're targeting, you want to make sure that when they're looking for your brand mentions, that you want to have them everywhere they're possibly looking. Video is the #1 consumed content on the internet now by a large stretch, and growing like crazy. You want to make sure that you have video content that that shares your reputation as well, so it can be found at that later stage of a buying cycle when somebody types in your business name with the word reviews or complaints or whatever, and they come across a video of a client testimonial or anything like that. You also want to be pixeling what's called pixeling, but you want to basically capture 100% of the website visitors that show up on your website, so that you can market them and remarket to them as they go around the web, and as they're on, WebMD and CNN and Weather Network, stuff like that. You want to be able to have your ads show up, branding your local reputation, and following them around like that. You can follow them around with offers and deals, but we have found statistically in every single one of our client interactions that the reputation-based ads, the ones that tell a little story about your reputation, are actually the ones that get clicked on the most and bring more people back to your website. So reputation marketing, I've been using that word a lot, and I wanted to kind of give you a great definition of what that is, because reputation marketing is actually the marriage of reputation management, which is passive. Reputation management is a defensive passive posture, and brand marketing. Brand marketing is obviously everything you do in the marketplace to market your brand. And when you bring those two together and you're actually marketing your reputation, that way you're actually building that brand around what other people say. So University of California, Berkeley did a study in conjunction with Yelp and found that even as little as a half-star increase in your online rating can actually increase business by as much as 19%. So it definitely makes it important to be looking at that as well. The other thing we often get when we talk about all of this, there's a lot of businesses when I do presentations and talk to them and consult with them, they mention, well, I get a lot of my business by referrals. I'm just kind of a word-of-mouth company, referrals. Interesting stats that show that 87% of people that refer to business nowadays go online to learn more about that company. 4% dial information. I didn't know 411 still existed, but apparently they do. There is 6% go to a phone book, which I'm sure that stat is dropping because I'm not sure of too many people that use phone books anymore, and 2% do something else. But when they refer to business, 87% go online to learn about them. So what do they go look for? 52% of the people that we refer to business are looking for reviews and ratings. So if you remember, 55% of people that are just thinking about a business and looking them up online are actually choosing the one with the best reputation. Well, 52% of people that refer to business in independent studies have shown that they're actually looking for reviews and ratings. 35% are looking for the website for more information. So you definitely want to make sure you have all your reviews and reputation branded on your website really, really well, because they're going there as well. And 13% are actually looking you up on social media. They didn't even go to the web. They literally went to social media and typed your name in and you look up on Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that to see what you're all about. So I asked this question, which do you think is more powerful in marketing then? Referral marketing, that word of mouth marketing, which is one-to-one. It's private. Mrs. Jones has to tell Mrs. Smith over the back fence that you're, the insurance agent that she uses, and, give that referral if she remembers to. It's also very finite. It either happened or it didn't, but it's probably only going to happen once, and it's probably within a short period of time of when that initial customer engaged with you. They're not going to remember about you a month from now, 6 months from now, to mention you again in most situations. And there's no asset value to that at all. It has nothing perpetual about it at all. On the other side of it, we've got review marketing. So when you take your reviews and your feedback and market that as your brand message, it's 1 to thousands. It's out in the marketplace. So it's sitting there waiting as an endorsement and as a referral the next time somebody comes along, types in that, your business name plus the word reviews and looks it up and sees it. It's there. It's public. And it's perpetual. It's indelible. It doesn't go away. The internet kind of keeps everything where it is. And it's a company asset. We've actually worked with a few companies that have changed hands. So we've been doing marketing for them, and they've sold, and the new people have kept on with our services. And one of the things that's happened in a lot of those instances is they've actually sold their company for more than they initially anticipated and more than the general marketplace would bear for competitors. The reason why is they're selling the company and they're saying, hey, we're the market leader. We're the obvious expert. If you're going to be buying us, you're buying the best brand in the local marketplace, and that's going to cost you a bit more. And it makes it an easier sell as well. So as you can see, a review really is a public referral. So which one do you think is more powerful, a referral or this reputation marketing that I'm talking about? So let's kind of show you how to do that, because there is something called the perfect reputation marketing strategy that we've developed, and this is what we do and we use and we teach on as well. And it starts with managing your reputation. We all know that part. Then we're going to build the reputation, and then we're going to market. So things in the management quadrant are, you're going to monitor. You need to monitor daily. You need alerts. You need reporting. You need to know what's actually happening. When's the last time you checked your Foursquare to see if there is somebody who typed a negative review on there? A lot of people think Foursquare is sort of a service or an app or a tool that's not used anymore, but it's actually embedded into a lot of navigation systems and a lot of other tools. So if somebody pops along and leaves a negative review on Foursquare and you have no clue, that could be a problem, because it could sit there for a long time. And anybody else who comes there as their source to look you up, they come there and next thing you know, they've read something negative about you, and off they go to your competitor and you didn't even know. So monitoring, that's really important. In fact, we had a luxury car dealer that I was in doing a consultation with, and I asked him, it was specifically on Foursquare. I said, hey, you've got a great reputation, but what about that Foursquare negative review? It's pretty scathing and it's been there for about a year. And he literally looked at me and said, I have no idea what you're talking about. Googled it, showed it to him, and literally signed the contract on the spot. He basically said, I had no idea. We definitely need to solve this. So you want to build your reputation by training your staff. You want to on why it's important, why your reputations become important, why they're on stage when they're in front of your customers, clients, and patients, and how that impacts what's going to happen as they leave your business. You want to basically be getting all that feedback and asking for reviews and doing all that in an authentic, natural, and predictable way. And then you want to market all of that on your website, social media, videos, and images like we talked about. So here's what it looks like. Here's what you need to do. You need to be monitoring the top directories, and you need to have a system in place to monitor all of those directories. You need to be sending instant alerts to you and your staff that can handle those, that can make comments. You want to comment on every single positive and negative review that shows up. Sometimes the negative review isn't legitimate. It was an ex-employee and a competitor, something like that. But it's still there, and until you can get it removed, and sometimes you can't get it removed, but if you can, until that happens, everybody else who reads it is going to be impacted by it. So you definitely want to make sure your response below that negative review is actually for the people who are going to read it more so than the person who wrote it. And you also want to make sure you have that system in place to collect lots and lots of feedback and reviews so you can bury that one over time. You also want to have detailed reporting so that you don't miss any of those areas where people are going and you don't have, any sort of reputation there at all. So you want to know how all of the marketing is being achieved. How many people are actually seeing all of the marketing events that you've put out there about your reputation as well. So you want to manage this side of your business very, very importantly. And ideally, some sort of a feedback CRM, some way to collect feedback. We know that, for example, emails and stuff like that scroll by really quickly. There's a lot of people that never delete their emails. They almost treat it like Twitter, and once it drops off the bottom of the page, they didn't see it at all. So you want to make sure that you've got some sort of a CRM system where it's inviting them to leave feedback, and if you haven't heard from them in a couple of days, it's inviting them again because they didn't open the email, and all those triggers are in place. So when you go to build your reputation, you definitely want to train your employees. You want to make sure it's as important as your health and safety training and your industry training. You want to make sure that they understand the importance and their role in the reputation of your company. You want to have feedback surveys that are asking clients very specific questions about the company as well. And what we really like to do in these feedback surveys, there's one magic question you can always add, and it's which one of these other services or products would you like to have more information and maybe some savings information on from time to time. You can ask that as sort of a final question. Interestingly, when you get people filling out surveys and done in the right way, you can have 50 to 75% of your clients filling out these surveys on a regular basis as they interact with your business, and you ask that question, you've now just identified what to sell them next. You also want to have some print material. You want to make sure that everybody knows this is important. You want it at the front counter. You want it on, handouts if you're in customers' homes. You want it everywhere they can possibly go, tent cards and window slicks and all that. You want to make sure that they have the ability to give you feedback, not just drive them straight to leave a review, but give you feedback on your company. A sign-in form is a really, really simple way to engage with a lot of these platforms where a customer signs in for their appointment or their meeting in the home today or whatever. And by signing in, they're now triggered into all of the upcoming, marketing events and stuff like that. And you want some sort of a posting system where, again, people are invited that leave you feedback. They're invited to post those online as well, so that, we know that, again, 92% of the average web user is reading reviews for local businesses. Interestingly enough, only about 10% currently are leaving reviews. It was about 6% a few years ago when we used to present on this, and it's grown. It's about 10% of people are actually leaving reviews now. I can't see it getting much beyond 12 to 15%. I'm pretty sure that's going to be about the cap, because there's just a lot of people that won't go out, set up an account, don't want to be public about their endorsement. It's just not what they do. So you want to, again, find that 10% that are in your client mix that are willing to write reviews and get them. But you can get 50 to 75% of your clients to leave you private feedback, so you know how the company is running, and you can market that in a very specific way as well. And that's the marketing that we talked about. So you can market that on your website. So a lot of companies have done surveys before. They'll have paper surveys, they'll mail out self-addressed stamped envelope. We used to do that with all of our clients, after every single appointment. It's like, hey, how did we do? We'd love to get your input on this. And done properly in the right way, you'll get a lot of people, 50 to 75% actually responding and giving you their input and their feedback if it's positioned correctly. But a lot of people, a lot of companies, that's just a drawer in their filing cabinet full of great testimonials that never see the light of day. When it's done digitally and done in a correct way, you can still use all of those great comments in your brand messaging. And the interesting thing is it becomes natural and easy SEO, because the customers are using the exact words they need to. They're writing the content for you. And when you market that on your website, the feedback that customers are giving to you, now you've got tons of new content showing up on your website all the time. So now Google is happy with that. Their bots come back and look at, oh, there's more postings here. Well, that postings are the new comments from your customers. Social media, you actually get your highest engagement levels from posts about what other people are saying as well. Again, videos, we do something called a review commercial, and I'll show you a little bit what that's all about. But that is taking some of your best reviews and turning it into an actual branded commercial. And again, the following customers around as well. So that's, to recap, rule number 1, get feedback from everybody. Rule number 2, you want to market your reputation as your brand message. You want to put that in every single iteration that you have. Rule number 3 is to position yourself as the local authority in your category. And the way you do that is you want to have prolific branding. You want your logo and your brand to be mentioned everywhere you possibly can. If there's events you can attend, if there's places your logo can be, all of that kind of stuff. You want to make sure that you are in front of your ideal target audience with your branding every chance you can. You want to publish, images and content if you can, if you can be a guest blogger on a local blog or on a Chamber of Commerce website or something like that. If you can, present at a local BNI, if you can, anything like that, you want to make sure that you've got, you're publishing images and content. You want to leverage referral marketing. And what we're talking about referral marketing in this category here is more I like to call them mavens, but the people that have the same audience that you do. So the same type of person that's an ideal customer for you is an ideal customer for another business. And if you can get them to endorse you and refer you, that is a huge authority play, because now the person who trusts them is going to trust the recommendation. So you want to have an active system in place to get more of that. You want to be seen as the local expert. So if you can get expert interviews with the newspaper, if you can have publish a column, one of the things that we do is actually, here's one of the Tab business consultant, Brian McFadden, who did one of these with us, and it's a 3-minute expert interview, so on YouTube, that's brand marketed around and can be released with press releases and all that as well. So even if you can't be put out as the, get an expert interview spot, you can put out press releases and talking about, the topics that you know a lot of information about. So you're not selling your services, you're selling your expertise to be seen as that authority, which brings people back to your services. So that's the way to kind of really consider positioning your authority. So what I like to do is, there's been a lot of information. It's kind of showing you exactly those 3 steps to do: get feedback, market your reputation as your brand message, and build your authority. So if you'd like to see what this all looks like when it's put together, I can show you a case study of one of our clients that lets us share all of this stuff. So here's the ways that we market a client's reputation. So in videos, we create those commercials that we talked about. We run them on YouTube, and we link them through and social share them and syndicate them around all other video sharing sites. So anytime somebody types in, words about a company's name, reviews, reputation, recommendation, things like that, these videos pop up and get seen. Here's an example of a Pinterest board, but turning your very best comments, so the ones that weren't reviews, the ones that weren't on Google, Yelp, and Facebook, but a client's comments, turning those into images that are shared on image sharing sites, and then backlinking all of those and linking those back to your website. So all of it creates this linking structure, which is really great for sort of rankings and SEO and funneling and all that kind of stuff. But more importantly, it brands your reputation to anybody who comes across those as they're looking up your business. You also want to be promoting it on places like Facebook as well. So you can actually do a paid ad to your ideal target market. So as an example here, 6,200 impressions of a review with a call to action. So instead of an offer, a deal, or a discount and kind of getting into that whole game, market your brand position, market your authority out to people that are your ideal market. Also, you don't have to always pay for ads or boost posts or anything. This was an unboosted post, and everybody says that reach is dead on Facebook without paying to boost posts and things like that. But actually, when you're marketing your review and a 5-star recommendation, you're actually finding that these show up more and get a lot of reach organically on their own. So it's great to do those on a regular basis as well. So you also want to consider what we call your digital storefronts. There are people that never end up on your website at all. So a digital storefront includes things like YouTube. There's an example of a branded channel, and look at right up in the header graphic. The biggest part of the page is taken up by the header graphic in most of these social media platforms, and right up there at the top is a review and your message. And then at the exact same time on Facebook and on Twitter and all that, you're basically creating a brand message that can be changed, every couple of months or whatever. But it's when a new person lands on that page, they're seeing you as a 5-star company, and then the 5-star reviews are streaming inside your mix as well on all of those social platforms. So the people that never make it to your website doesn't really matter. And then that retargeting that we're talking about, it looks like this. So when people go on the Weather Network and CNN and places like that, if you're following them around because they landed on your website and now they're noticing that you're a 5-star company, you get the biggest engagement. You actually get the biggest click-through rate. And in a lot of cases, it's better and more affordable marketing than pay-per-click. And you're going to get similar number of clicks, way more impressions. So consider it the billboard effect. And you're getting all of that because you're positioning your reputation and your brand. On your website, you definitely want to make sure that you've got on any landing pages and sales pages, that's a conversion principle. You want to make sure there's reviews and marketed there. And then again, as I mentioned, reviews on your main pages that link out to the actual sources, so it doesn't look like you just cherry picked them. It's actually just streaming 4- and 5-star reviews. If you get a 3-star one, it'll actually show up there as well. It's not a bad thing to have people understand that there's that you're not perfect, but you solve any of their problems as well. And the benefits of this are pretty staggering, because what you want to see is that 50% or more of your new customers actually mention the fact that your online reputation and reviews as the reason why they're coming to you. You want to, because of this endorsed trust, you can actually have a bit of that price elasticity that we talked about. You can take your prices up because more and more people are finding you in those types of sources and and have trust in you before they even call. They've already been given that. So you just have to maintain that. You just have to do a good job. Reputation actually improves all of your other marketing impacts as well, because as you send out flyers, as your vehicles are driving around, if you're a service business and people see that vehicle, neighbors looking out the window, they're going to pick up their phone or go to their tablet, type in the business name, and see what kind of business you are. So we find that done properly, our average client's revenue is up about 25% in the first 12 months just doing a good, full, proper marketing in this manner. So that's kind of how it's all done. I want to do a really quick recap, because the recommendation economy has changed the local landscape forever. Top trusted companies are the ones getting most of the work, and not just trusted in, hey, I think we're trusted, but I mean online in a way that the public is noticing and seeing. The public and social reputation must be your number one focus to build that trust. The best customers do not look for the lowest price. They do look for trust. All of the advertising, money that you're spending online and offline, word of mouth, all of it is being impacted by what people see when they look you up online. And building and then marketing your 5-star reputation, positioning yourself as the market leader to attract more clients and grow your business is actually an easier way to go in your business. So bottom line, reputation marketing equals more customers and more profits. Big problem, because we've been talking about this for about 40 minutes now, and the problem is, who really has time to figure it all out? You've got to piece together all of these things that we just talked about, surveys and capture pages and email series that actually gets people to fill out feedback, scripts to your staff to be able to elicit all of that, autoresponder series, training the staff, as we mentioned. You need to be able to post and turn things into images and do all of that kind of stuff. You make everything in a shareable way, and you need to monitor all of those direct resources and respond to positive and negative reviews instantly. So you need to have a whole entire strategic process to do this, or you're kind of left doing what you're doing, and the people that figure this out, somebody comes new into your marketplace, one of your competitors gets on this and figures it out, and you're wondering where your customers went, why the phones are slowing down, and why your business is slowing down. Everything else you've done is exactly the same. Somebody else has put this in place. So what I wanted to do is give you an easy button, a way to actually understand all of this and put this all in place very, very easily. What that is so what we call marketing in the recommendation economy 101, the basic starting points of all of this, because your authority plus your 5-star reputation does equal your customers' trust in you. So we've created an implementation guide that I mentioned at the beginning. It's free. It's a full walkthrough of what we just talked about, how to implement it, how to do it. It's everything you must know about managing your online reputation. And for anybody who is on the call for the TAB crowd here, we're actually going to include, take a look at the very last page of that guide. We've added a very special last page just for this crowd, and it's a bonus visibility checkup. So you can actually go, there's a link there, you can log in, and you can do a full diagnostic on your business and see all of the details we just talked about, see how your videos are being engaged, if you have any, and where that fits, how your, what kind of reviews are showing up, the sentiment, what people are saying about you around the web. It's a full deep dive diagnostic into all of that as well. So you just have to go to the shortened link. It's called Habu, HABU.in/tab, TAB, and that will take you to download the report. You can get access to that. It's got all of our contact information there as well if you want to reach out to me for anything, or any of our staff. And I kind of want to just leave you with this. If you don't know who Dan Kennedy is, go look him up. It's 20 some odd years ago is where I first learned, got interested in learning marketing from a course that he had called Magnetic Marketing, and I've been a fan and a follower of Dan Kennedy ever since. For small businesses, it's paradigm changing information. He has a whole no BS series. It cuts through all the mud and crap and just gets straight to the point. And Dan has said many, many times over that the truth is, if you aren't deliberately and systematically and methodically, or rapidly and dramatically, which we like to say, establishing yourself as an authority, at least to your clientele and target market, you're actually asleep at the wheel, ignoring what is fueling the entire economy around you. So this is where we're at. It's the world we're in now. And the presentation today was just about showing you, opening your eyes up to what's actually happening, where your clients are actually going, how they're making their decisions, and how you can get right in front of that stream, stand up there with your big flag and say, hey, we're the market leader, come to us. Now, if anybody has any questions, sorry, Alex, sorry, you're there. You must have been muted.
You're fine.
Questions, definitely chime in. And
yeah, we did get some questions, but first, thank you so much for that presentation. I think it's very informative, and also thank you for giving out the link for that free guide. I think that's really going to help out a lot of our viewers.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, of course. So here are some of the questions.
Okay.
Our first question is how to tackle disgruntled people. Some users of services seem to have crazy expectations. They buy something for cheap, like $2 on Amazon, but expect it to perform as a high-end product.
Good question, especially mentioning Amazon as well. I've actually, one of the things that our company does is we run an Amazon store. So, and I know exactly what that means, whether it's local marketing or products or whatever. Ideally, that's where feedback comes in as well. First and foremost, you want to get out in front of it before it becomes overly public in any way you can. So if you can, so with products and stuff like that, you want to make sure that, you know, the first thing they see is a disclaimer right on the front cover. Hey, we'd really love your feedback. You know, you can get them to register for a warranty or whatever, but we'd really love your feedback. Go here and, you know, fill this out. So give them a spot to go so that you're trying to keep them away from sort of ranting somewhere to start with. And then it gives you the opportunity to solve a problem behind the scenes privately as feedback before it goes out of the marketplace. The other thing you want to do is definitely have answers to negative reviews. If you're getting a whole bunch of them, you've just discovered something about your product or service. Maybe mentioning in the marketing in a constructive way the limitations of the product might be part of it. So instead of overselling it, overhyping it, if you're getting a lot of those, but if it's just a few people have said, you know, you understand that they over expect from your products or services, having an answer that speaks to the next person reading that. I really apologize. We're willing to give you 100% refund. You know, no questions asked. Just, you know, here, reach out to us at this link or this phone number. I'd like to handle this personally. Whatever. Things like that make the next person feel really good about the fact that the company is responsive. But obviously, if you're getting a whole bunch of those, then the problem is being identified as maybe the product and, you know, and the marketing needs a little bit of a tweak.
Oh, wonderful. And then our next question is asking, is there any way that we send out a list of top review directories? So do you have a list of top review directories that I can send out to the attendees?
Some of that is actually, like, there is included in the guide. The implementation guide will actually has a list and a link of the top review directories. We mostly know what they are. So United States, we're looking at Google, Yelp, Facebook as the generic top of class ones. In Canada, Yelp hasn't really caught on as much as they would want it to be. They try really hard and they call a lot of businesses and try and get businesses into Yelp, but consumers just aren't Yelping as much. Every industry has their own sort of review directory as well. Like in automotive, Dealer Rater seems to be fairly important, and Auto Trader having reviews right beside cars and things like that. There is you know, health grades and stuff like that for medical and those kinds of things. But again, a much smaller subset of consumers go to those. Yellow Pages, Better Business Bureau, all of those major directories where your name is listed, clients can go and look you up. They also have the place to post positive and negative comments as well. One thing to note about that is people that are annoyed in general, the reason why they post negative comments, they typically say, is they don't believe that the staff will notify the management of the problem. They don't believe sending their email in or whatever is actually going to get anywhere. So anytime you're actually have any sort of feedback system, if somebody's, you know, gives you negative comments, if you can instantly send them a follow-up or take them right to a page that says, oh, we're so sorry, can you tell us what happened and how you'd like us to solve it, and have a big button that says, and you know, this will be sent directly to the manager, it actually allays a lot of people's fears and anger. It actually gives you a window of opportunity, 24 to 48 hours in a lot of cases, to kind of respond, resolve it before they're going to take their negative comments and thing with people that are upset. They don't just place them one place. They copy paste, copy paste. Next thing you know, it shows up on Twitter and Facebook and Google and everywhere. They're just going to tell everybody how annoyed they are. So you want to get in front of that. But yeah, lists of directories in the guide, and also industry specific ones and local specific ones. You just kind of want to look in your local marketplace and see if there's any of those types of places you need to be listed on as well.
Wonderful. And then we have another question, and he asks, it seems to me that all big companies eventually get an average review level of 3.5 stars out of 5. Does this show that after thousands and thousands of reviews, it just follows a pattern following negative people who are more likely to leave a complaint?
In a lot of situations, if you don't have a system in place to request feedback and reviews properly, you will find that negative people could potentially dominate that environment. We found that the actual sweet spot is between 4.2 and 4.5 star rating. So you do want some negative, just generally. And so if you're running a really great business, you're not going to please everybody. And some people are going to complain. You're going to respond to those, and you're going to solve their problems publicly and privately and everything. But we haven't noticed that there's sort of this run to 3.5 or anything like that. Companies that basically don't do anything and just sort of let it happen naturally, or do what we call the review hounding, where they just say, hey, go give us a review, and they just point everybody straight to Google or Facebook without sort of taking ownership of the feedback first, can get a mixed bag. And there may be a law of averages that kind of gets some companies to that level. But in general, local businesses, all of us, what we find is that the volume that we're going to get, if you're getting a review velocity of a couple of reviews a month, 4, 5, 6 around the web, in most industries, that is enough to keep a great review score. If you're doing good business, it's also enough to keep a great, it's one of those algorithm impacts as well. So the more reviews you get, the higher up you move in maps listings and things like that. So you're actually tapping into all of that and consumer sentiment and stuff like that. So, and we just don't have the thousands and thousands and thousands that you might get from other places. But no, I mean, like, again, selling products on Amazon and stuff like that as well that we do, we have hundreds of thousands of people that have engaged with our products and stuff. And yeah, our goal is ultimately to stay, 4.5 or above and solve all those problems. So yeah, we don't, done actively, you shouldn't see an average of 3.5 unless it's just sort of passively happening.
Wonderful. And I think we have time for one more question.
Okay.
She asks, how do small companies with a low budget, too low of a budget to spend on social medias and marketing, how can they leverage these ideas and concepts?
So definitely for that person and anybody, go get the guide, because there is a lot of stuff you can do on your own. It doesn't have to cost a fortune to ask for feedback and stuff like that. You definitely have to, part of your marketing budget has to be the growth it's going to make in your company. So, we're not talking thousands and thousands of dollars, but marketing is a budget that you need to have in the company, and outreach and advertising and flyers and all of those kinds of things that you're going to do. Even ads on Facebook to drive people back and to an offer and those kinds of things all get impacted by what people see. So you definitely have to have some sort of a grassroots system in place, even if you're on a really low budget, some sort of a grassroots system in place to request feedback, ask for reviews in a correct way, and then be monitoring all of that. So yeah, the guide will kind of walk you through sort of the stuff that you can do internally and sort of bootstrap together. And for the companies that are capable and have a marketing budget, a percentage of that marketing budget should be definitely put towards the reputation marketing that you should be doing, because it's going to cause growth in your company. 25% growth pays 10 times over the cost of putting in a good marketing program like that.
Very good. Thank you so much, John. And before we leave, if our attendees go ahead and get this guide, will they have your contact information as well?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's on the page there that they go to, and it's and if anybody wants to reach out, it's just info at screamingtreemedia.com. That's our help desk, support desk, and our entire team monitors that. And if just say attention, John, if you want to speak to me directly. But info at screamingtreemedia.com is the best way to get a hold of our company. And but yeah, in the guide there's all that information as well.
John, thank you for presenting today. It was really, really interesting. I think it's going to be very, very helpful for people.
Cool.
You can go ahead and check all of our previous BOSS webinars on demand by visiting our website and clicking on webinars. Make sure to join us on June 20th for our webinar featuring human resources. Thank you, everyone, for joining today, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.